Once second-degree murder has been established, the next issue to discuss is murder one through a theory of premeditation. It's important to note here that the only theory of malice from murder two that's going to work in conjunction with premeditation is the intent to kill. Even though we might have found the intent to commit serious bodily harm for murder two, I can't bring it up with me to join with premeditation to turn it into murder one. Why is that? Can't one premeditate an intent to commit serious bodily harm? Of course they can. I can plan to beat up John this afternoon, beat him up very badly. That's planning serious bodily harm. Yeah, but it just doesn't qualify for the doctrine of premeditation for murder one. Just think about the definition of premeditation. It's the reflection on the intent to kill. It's got to have the intent to kill. I have to have first found an intent to kill inside murder two, and then attempt to couple that intent to kill with his reflection on it. So how do I ask the question? To move to murder one, I need a transition sentence. Here I'm going to ask, assuming Danielle had an intent to kill, did she premeditate the killing to elevate the homicide to murder one? Or I might write it, if Danielle was found to have intended to kill, can she be guilty of murder one through a theory of premeditation? I want you to look at that sentence. I've identified the issue of murder one, I've identified the theory of premeditation, and I've told the reader, I gotta have intent to kill to do this. And just as we've done before, the moment we've identified a new crime or legal term, we've got to define it and analyze it. Premeditation is a reflection on the intent to kill, which is going to require an opportunity to reflect on killing, plus actual reflection on the intent to kill. Not just the opportunity, but actual deliberation. I would also continue this definition by reporting that premeditation can be evidenced by planning activities prior to the killing, a motive to kill, or a preconceived design in the way the victim was killed. Now that I've defined premeditation, now comes my factual analysis. Moving party, prosecution's going to go first. Prosecution will argue that Danielle premeditated this killing. She took a letter opener from her desk, hid it behind a magazine when she entered her boss's office. This is different from a weapon of opportunity. Prosecution's going to argue, yeah, it was sitting on her desk, but she took that weapon into Victoria's office. Further, her concealing it behind the magazine indicates that she was thinking of killing Victoria as she walked into the office. Her motive to kill, although not dispositive alone of premeditation, but it is evidence of it, she had a motive to kill because of the abuse that was heaped on her by Victoria. Is there also a policy argument you might want to make here if you were prosecutor? Perhaps prosecutor wants to charge for murder one to send a tough message directed at those who decide to kill their bosses or co-workers just because they're verbally abusive. Horrible bosses exist out there. If you plan to kill one, we're going to deal with it very severely. Okay, that's the prosecution's argument. Does Danielle have a counter-argument to support the lack of premeditation? Remember, sometimes issues are uncontested, but sometimes they're not, and they actually need both sides to be analyzed. If she does have a defense, that would eliminate the mens rea of premeditation, tumbling it back down to murder two, and leaving only the intent to kill. So I think here Danielle might argue that the time lapse between the abuse that was hurled at her and stabbing Victoria was much shorter in duration than prosecution is making out to be. It only took a couple of seconds, a couple of moments. It didn't really demonstrate separately the intent to kill from premeditation. It was all one movement, only demonstrated the intent to kill.